Why are there 12 altitudes?
You notice that altitudes is a spectrum and that these colors have been chosen as nodes. They're just chosen. It's not like there's some mathematical formula for where you draw those lines. It's just whatever seems to make the most sense. And the way that that is determined to be in actual motion, an actual new stage, is that you are building a system from the components of the previous stage. Whatever your previous stage was, you've seen multiple examples of it, and now you're trying to form a synthetic meta theory about your previous altitude. That is the way all of these altitudes go. It's about stripping away the prejudice of where you come from. Surprisingly, it's not stacking more information as you climb up the altitudes. It's actually taking away layers of simplification and reduction. It's making the world more complicated because the world is more complicated. So your capacity to comprehend these levels or stages of complexity determines a lot about what conscious reality you are experiencing, to the extent that an enormous percentage of what you express and what you say and who you think you are and what you express to the world is not a unique individual expression of your personal character or style. It is a repetition of something that you have observed. It is a meme being communicated through you, and there is nothing at all wrong with that. The point is to recognize that this is inevitably so, and so the question is not, how do I create my own reality? It is, of all the versions of reality that people are touting, because of course they're all commonplace, of all these versions of reality, of all these philosophies, worldviews, which one is the truest? Which one is seeing the most full and complete and deep version of reality? And each time you make a step in that direction, we're saying that's a new stage. And that's why we're calling them stages. So you cannot skip a stage. And I can explain that fairly easily. There may be some sort of jumpiness to it, but it's just like math. If you don't know how to count to 100, you can't do addition and subtraction. You have to learn how to count the numbers. You have to know what the numbers are. Then you can do operations on them like addition and subtraction. And if you think about then moving into multiplication, the nature of multiplication is that it is a meta operation including multiple additions. Add, put them together, times 3, right? Multiply, add it this many times. So it's a meta addition. Division is a meta subtraction. It's a reduce it this many times over. And then you do the exact same thing when you go into powers and roots. And this is just one dimension to mathematics, but you see how it builds upon the previous concept. You have to graph in X and Y, and then you can start talking about Z. You have to understand the nature of graphing before you can start understanding how to derive a graph from a curve that you're seeing. Calculus, right? Geometry, all of these mathematics must be based upon cruder, more basic, more primitive mathematics. And you don't have to learn everything there is to know. You don't have to be an expert on geometry. You just have to get the basics of geometry before you can move on to the next, to calculus or to whatever's next in your linear algebra and in your mathematical course. But there are foundations, and without those foundations, there's nothing you cannot build upon. And that is the nature of these altitudes. They're the foundations of philosophical comprehension of reality.